What's up, Gripsters and random YouTubers? Evan here for Grips.com, and we have some reason to celebrate. 2 Sundays ago, Team Grips member Mario Mosbach shipped the Big Ben on Full Tilt Poker for just over $17,000. The buy-in was $109, which means he netted about 170 buy-ins. Pretty fucking sweet. This is part 2 of what will probably be a 4-part video, possibly 5. And as a reminder, since I had some comments in my other MTT review videos, I can't show every hand since that would take just about forever. So I'm only going to go through the hands where our hero was involved, and once we get down to the final 3 tables, I'll look at every hand so we can try to get a feel for what sort of reads our hero had. For those of you guys who missed part 1, I would really encourage you to check it out. Mario made some really cool plays and not only opened the viewer's eyes, but he opened my eyes as well. And I think just from reviewing that little segment of tournament right there, I'm going to make some adjustments to my game and probably see some increases in my results. Anyway, let's continue on our journey of seeing how it's done. So hopefully one day, not too far away, you too can also turn $100 into 17,000. Dolly part 9-5. Shit's going in the muck. So is the Jack-6 suited. So is the 8-4 off and the Jack-6 suited once again. But Big Sliz, we're interested. So we go with the min raise, get 3-bet, and the guy has 30 blinds. I'm thinking we should probably just 4-bet with the intention of calling off. Now that being said, flatting here is also an option. If you think your opponent is trying to like 3-bet you light with weaker aces or weaker kings, you might want to keep those hands in there and let your ace king be extremely disguised. People never expect you to flat 3-bets with ace king, especially, well, I mean, they don't expect you to flat 3-bets with ace king, and they like to attack those boards where you hit. So could be a lot of value in flatting, and the fact that we're suited gives us a little bit more value because if we flop a flush draw, we can play that aggressively. All that being said, for 30 blinds, I think 4-betting with the intention of getting all in is probably the best play. Were we 50 big blinds deep, 60 big blinds deep, I'm starting to like a flat a little bit more. Mario, he's a trickster, so he flats. And check call or check raise? Probably check call. Yeah. And then lead, I love it. Because on that particular turn, you know, the board's starting to get a little more dangerous, starting to get a little more coordinated, and if our opponent just has a 9 or a jack or a 6, he does have some equity, especially if he has like a pair with one of those hands, and he may just check back for pot control, try to realize his equity. Mario's play takes that away from him and puts our opponent in a tough spot. If he has a draw, he's not getting the right price to call. And if he has a king or like a jacks or something, and for whatever reason he wants to protect against the board getting more messy, I guess that wouldn't be the case with jacks, but maybe like a king queen, he's going to be forced to ship it all in. Also, our line looks kind of fishy, and it's pretty tilty when someone, you know, just peels your c-bet and then leads into you on the turn. So there's definitely some spaz equity that we're picking up here. Our opponent might just say fuck it and rip it all in with ace jack or even ace queen. He calls, which looks to me like king x, jacks, or like a 10-9, 8-9. So on that river, feeling pretty good. I think the play is to just value shove all in. If our opponent has showdown value, he's probably not that likely to turn it into a bluff. So I don't really love checking here. I like the shove, and our opponent has king queen. Perfect. Do you guys like the 3-bet with king queen, or would you prefer a flat call with king queen? What do you typically do in that situation, facing early position open, and why? Do you ever fold? If so, against what opponents, or is it just your default? Think about it. Talk about it. Find the merits to each play, and yeah. Now we got Todd chips. We got 22 packs of cheese. And we're not playing the gay waiter, and we're not playing the 9-3 off. And I know Mario likes to peel for min raises, so I'd imagine we see a flop here, but no. Why not peel with the queen nine? Just curious. I don't know that I would peel either, but I saw in the previous video that Mario, you like to take your pot odds, you like to see flops, and queen nine's a decent hand for making like top pair. So curious as to why you opted to fold that one versus call with the ace eight, whether it was the stack size thing. Let me know. And here, so you call with the king jack from the small blind with a worse price, but you don't call with the queen nine from the big blind. That I don't really understand. I also, see, you're less than 40 blinds deep. I think I like a 3-bet with this hand if you're gonna play it. But I can see the reasons for just check calling or just calling. And I imagine you're gonna make some moves here. Check raise, nice. He's getting hood. And what's cool about this check raise is we're risking 1940 to win like 2,800. So we're getting a really good price on our money. Needs to work about 40% of the time. And this is a board that our opponent is going to be c-betting with pretty much his entire opening range. But most of his opening range, other than the premium hands, which are few and far between, he can't really continue facing a check raise. And even if he has 9s or 10s or like an 8, if he decides to call, we have 2 overcards, so we have some decent equity and some good cards we can continue on. So I really like this check raise. I'm surprised that we can take it down with such a small check raise, but you know, learn something new every day. And again, if you're making moves post-flop, you can justify those peels with the king-jack offs from the small blind. And I think it's a slightly cheaper steal than 3-bet c-betting would have been. But if someone wants to do the math on that, let me know. So here we've got chips, we've got a king, we've got the button. We will take the blinds and antes, thank you very much. And I'd imagine, given that Mario likes to make moves, he likes to take his odds, he's probably going to start taking advantage of his chip position and raising a lot of hands, which in general, if the field is weak, is the correct thing to do. I like the 3-bet here. We're calling all in if our opponent goes for it. I think I'd 3-bet a little bit bigger, like I mean 1350, but it's perfectly fine on this flop. Oh, okay, well, snap call. Well played. Is that Joao Simão? I imagine Brazilian? I guess he peeled with the 5-6 suited because he was getting such a good price pre-flop, but honestly, calling 3-bets out of position with that sort of hand is just asking for trouble. And he got what he deserved. Elimination. King 9 could open. Don't need open, but with our chips, we definitely can open there. Queen 6 is a little too weak. Duckies, we're in. Taking it down. King Queen, we're obviously in. And on this flop, small c-bet, probably the play. Checking back is also an option to get your opponent to stab with whatever he defended with. I mean, we're in a pretty comfortable position with top pair second kicker. And there's what, 2 pot size bets left, 3 pot size bets left, 2.5. So if we check back and Psyche bets the turn any reasonable amount, we can still get all in. So, you know, at first I was thinking just like c-bet. It's a good board for c-betting, but with this particular hand, I think I like to get tricky and check here. Just to get value from the whole range. You know, how many outs does he really have at most? 3 with like an ace-x type hand, or 2 with a pocket pair. I'm thinking about the hands that he would fold to a c-bet, but that we could maybe get value from on most turns. I think most people bet there. And I kind of like a check with our particular hand, but what do you guys think? 6-10, too weak. Okay. Good fold, good fold. Actually, do we open the 7-6? Ah, shove ahead, can't do it. Pocket J's. Let's think about 3-betting versus calling here. The opener has 27 big blinds. we 3-bet, we're not folding to a shove. So do we want to get in 10 plus K with jacks versus an under the gun open? Maybe. If he's opening wide, actually his opening range matters, but more so is what his range for 4-betting all in is. Like, if we 3-bet him small, is he going to put it in there with 9s? Is he going to put it in with 10s? Is he going to put it in with ace queen? Or is he only going to put it in with jacks plus ace king? These are the things you want to think about. The more chances, the more likely your opponent is to spaz out here or put it in with a weak hand, then the more we want to 3-bet and call this off. If our opponent, is just going to respect our 3-bet and respect our strong range for 3-betting his under the gun open, then flatting to slow play and keep his range as wide as possible becomes the best play. So it really depends on like who your opponent is, what sort of a dynamic you have with them. And I think we call, because again, we're just trying to keep the range the same. And on this turn, probably just bet like 2,400. And our opponent gives up. It's pretty sick if we get check shoved on there. And then you ask, is he check shoving with his big pairs, or is he only check shoving with turn draws? That's going to be an in-the-moment decision that only you can make, because you are going to have more information about your opponents than anyone else. And that's why you really just got to trust your gut. Trust the information you have, and if you make the wrong decision, you know what? No big deal. There's going to be another tournament. There's going to be another spot. If you just wuss out, though, and don't go with your gut, well, you'll never know if your reads were right. And although it may seem like the easier thing to do at the time, it's a bit of a cop-out, and it's going to slow your learning process. So, get in there, take shots, take stabs, get messy, make mistakes. That's how you get better. And as long as you're playing within your bankroll, it's not going to be the end of the world if you make a mistake in a tournament. King 9 suited, I like the open, and I like the result. 6-5, that's a little weak. 6-8, that's a little weak. 8-10 weak. Jack 5 weak. Sometimes you got to fold. And that's okay, because we have 70 big blinds. We got a lot of chips. We got to move to a new table where someone else has quite a few chips too. Hopefully we can get them. 3-12 big blind stacks behind. Pretty decent steal opportunity. Question is, are we priced in to call off if they shove? I'm not sure. I don't know the ranges. Full tilt, get out of here. We want fake full tilt. We want the replayer full tilt, not that a real software. So Mario opts to fold, which, given what I've seen from him before, is kind of surprising. But let us know why you did it. Same thing here, although less so because we're raising into a big stack. But when you're really deep stacked and you're going to be the one who has position, you can get away with opening a fairly wide range. Like Jack 10, it's still a pretty strong hand. Ace 10 suited, though, is a much stronger hand, so we'll open that. Take some blinds. And Mario's peeling. We're getting a very good price. Only need to win this pot less than 1 time out of 5. 2 pair. This is a pretty wet board. I think I'd like to see a lead here. Kind of take control of the action. Our opponent, if he has any sort of gutter, will probably continue. Any pair will continue. But he may check those back, and there are a lot of nasty turns that are either going to, give us the second best hand or prevent us from extracting value from a hand that we have in bad shape. It's also not the greatest board for our opponent to c-bet, because it really does hit the defender's range and is a good candidate for check raising. So I expect to see Josh CX check back here a lot, and for that reason I like a lead. Mario, you've been paying attention. And that's why you win the money in this tournament, because you were doing all the right things. Interesting turn. King Queen gets there. Ace high gutters. Make a pair. And Jack X is feeling less confident. We're probably still calling. Jack Queen, Jack King have gutters. Jack 9 still has a gutter. I'll probably bet again. That's gross. It's really gross. Like, if he thinks we're full of shit, it's a decent spot for him to like play back, but for that particular sizing, like he really looks like he's trying to keep us in. He's not trying to lose us. We're getting 4.7 to 1. If we need to boat up, we only have we need about like 9 to 1. So we're not really getting the right price. And I don't really know what we're going to do on like all rivers other than a 10 and a 7. And even a 10, like, I like it, but I don't love it. The only card I really love to see is a 7. But folding here seems really weak, especially because we're getting such a good price and he could be getting away with a cheap bluff. So I think we have to call and check folds to a big bet on the river. It seems so gross though, because it seems like he would have a strong hand. But you know what? I have a lot of respect for Mario's ability to fold there. That's what I wanted to do, but I felt like, you know, we can't. Like, it's too weak. But it's like, if you don't have a plan for what you're going to do on any river, and you think you don't have the best hand that much, like, what's the point of putting in even the extra 3,000? Sure, you're getting a good price, but I mean, it's like 6 big blinds. You could probably find a better place for those 6 big blinds. And if you call the 3K, like, and then he bets like 4K on the river, you're probably going to talk yourself into a call. This is a really good discipline fold, and it's important to be able to do that. Like, oh my God, big blind special, I flop 2 pair. Well, let's do some real hand reading and evaluate if 2 pair is probably the best hand, because it's not about absolute hand strength. It's about relative hand strength, and you guys know that. And if you don't, well, watch the Project Get Me Stacking that talks all about that, and you'll be right there in the loop. So far, Mario's playing really well. I think facing a 12 big blind shove, we do not have to call off here. A bigger pair, we definitely call. But don't need to make these calls against what's probably like reasonable range. If it folded to us 14 bigs, I think I'd still fold. And I would have been right. Cool. Okay. At this point, Mario has 60 big blinds. People's stacks are starting to get a little deeper. He's probably going to be pretty selective of his spots. When you have like a big stack, you can't just like necessarily automatically go crazy. It really depends on what the other stacks are at the table. Do people have chips to play with you? Are people likely to play back at you? Are they playing weak? These are the kind of things you ought to think about when deciding what your strategy is going to be for a table, whether you're going to be really loose and really aggressive or just kind of like on the tighter side, the like safer side. Great pot odds, decent hand. We're going to flick a chip in here, see a flop, and on that board we're definitely check calling. And on that turn we're also definitely check calling. I would imagine we're chopping some, or we just have the best hand. So we have 2 options. We can bet really small to try to get our opponent's call with a queen, or we can bet really big to try to fold him off a chop. Like if he has like ace jack, but we bet like 8K, he might fold it. If we bet that amount, we also fold out a queen, obviously. The question is, does he even call like 1200 with a queen? Because if not, then I think just bombing, that's the way to go. Check, check, take it down. Curious as to why you didn't bet the river there. You have the best hand, or at least you're like chopping for the best hand like almost all the time, and it would be pretty maybe not completely suicidal, somewhat suicidal for him to bet the flop, check the turn, bet the river. But maybe if he wants to like fold you off a queen, like queen king, maybe he'd do that. I don't know. All right, 2 queens, and this is a pretty easy decision. Call or shove. Call looks weaker, so we'll probably do that. Just to give Attila a chance to, you know, put it in there with like ace queen or 2 8s or something. Whereas if we reshove and he's looking at a full 35 big blinds, he's not going to be, ooh, nice flop. Nicer turn. Give him a spade. It doesn't matter. You're going to get more action from more hands by just calling there than if you shove it in. So, okay, we're going to go after Josh. This hand plays fine. Facing that though, we're done. Nothing we can do. And unlucky for Frillin. We got some rags. We got an ace on the button. Oh, we got to raise it. God damn. Really? You play this? Okay. I don't like this open. I know the hand like looks pretty, but like we saw in the first video, you'd rather have a king jack offsuit than some suited gapper when you're opening, especially opening into the field. I think, especially with there being some deep stacks behind, like everyone has like 30 plus big blinds, so you can get flatted a decent amount. I think this is a hand that you just have to fold. At least we kept the mistake small by not calling a 3-bet. And queen jack offsuit early position, just a little too weak. Okay. Overcalling and squeezing are both options. Like the easy play looks like flatting, so we have a suited ace. But with them being 40 blinds deep and Josh, you know, probably going to 3-bet most of his value hands and flat more of his speculative hands, I think I would prefer to see a squeeze here. That being said, flatting's fine, but as long as Psyche's hand's not too strong, we're probably going to win this pot a lot pre-flop, and if not pre-flop, we can win it on the flop. So I like to see it go maybe 38-50. We call strong flop, lead or check. I think we got to check. Although we do have a lot of equity against pretty much anything, we don't necessarily want to just bet, get it in on the flop, and like flip for all these chips. And if it goes bet raise, Josh gets knocked out. Against Psyche c-betting range, we have great equity and we could have the best hand, so I think I like check calling. And if it goes, you know, bet raise, then we might have to get it in. I don't know. And against Josh? I think he's going to be betting his whole range. I think, obviously when he has sets, we're dead. But I think he's going to have a good amount of high card hands. We dominate all the draws. I think against him, I would check raise, get this in. Against Psyche, I would have been a little bit more cautious. But I think Josh has a weaker range for stabbing than Psyche does for c-betting. Like, he's going to bet this board. Like, every time it's checked to him in this spot. And check calling, we allow ourselves to get barreled off when we don't improve. That being said, there's a lot of good turns for us. We can continue on a 10, a 7. I mean, we don't even need to hit the turn. Like, we pick up massive equity on those turns. But, okay, check rate. Wow. That's fucked up. What are the odds we're getting? It's 21K to win 57. So we're getting like 3 to 1. I think with the backdoor straight draw, even against a set, we have the right price. I might have to stove this. Yeah, we're poker stoving. So 864. For those of you who aren't familiar with Poker Stove, it's a free software that you can get. I think it's at pokerstove.com. You can just do equity calculations with it, so that's cool. First, I'm going to give them both sets and see how we do against that. 864. No, we have ace 9. So the board is 864. So there we have 29%. We need 27. So we can call there. Let's give one of them a straight. Let's see if that changes anything. There we're like break even on a call. So even against like really strong hands, we have the right price. But let's see what happens when some of our outs are taken. Now we don't have the right price. What if one of our outs is taken and we're up against 2 pair? Obviously, he's never going to have 8-4, but, oh, right. I made an impossible hand. There we have the right price. So, I mean, it's pretty close, and we do dominate most draws. I think, you know, math-wise, you got to call, and it's an opportunity to have like all the chips. Now, that being said, like it's never fun to call off your chips on a draw, and we have a really nice stack. We have 30K at, what were the blinds, like 3-6. So we have like 50 blinds. Like we can fold and move on to the next hand with 50 blinds, or we can gamble and try to have 150 blinds. Math says that you probably got to call, and if we give them. And if we're up against like an overpair and someone else who has our draw, we like have way the right price. So probably should call, but given that we have a nice stack, I can understand if Mario opts to fold here. It's kind of gross. And well, let's see what our equity is just for fun against that particular hand. That's like really absurd by Psyche. Don't like it. Tournament player's gonna do what tournament player's gonna do. We have the ace-9 of spades, and we're on the 8-6-4. Okay. So actually, against that particular hand, we don't quite have the right price. We need 27%. We have 26. I guess because our running straight thing got counterfeit. Thing is, like, it's just a question of how much of a gambler you are. It looks like overall it's pretty much a break-even call. So if you're someone who likes to gamble or thinks they can just like get it game over if they have 150 big blind stack at this stage of the tournament, by all means go for it. If, however, you think, you know, with 50 blinds you're comfortable and you think you have a nice edge on the field, you don't need to necessarily just like automatically take that variance. So you can understand either way. And hopefully there's no, man, hurts, don't it? Really hurts. As if 2 spades come. That's the spot where you can really go either way. I like the check raise. And if just Josh shoved, I'd imagine we're calling. The ironic thing is we're getting a worse price, and our equity is like pretty much the same against him. But, yeah. Sometimes you just got to reevaluate on the fly and go with what feels right. Mario, love to hear your thoughts on that hand. Okay, so King Queen, we're going to raise. I don't love this board. It's really connected. We do have 2 overcards though, so I can see a C-bet. It's kind of a gross board. I might check fold. Wow. I don't even know. I don't know what the hell Attila calls the tournament and folds the river, but well played, I guess. Wow. Well, I thought we were opening, but I guess not. You guys want to see an all-in sweat? Okay. A little quick, right? Definitely raising here. What's our price? 1.6 to 1. We need 40% equity. Well, let's show you guys how to use Stove to calculate reshove ranges. So, because the whole point of this video is to help you guys win money, so I'll show you how it's done. Queen 10, and let's say he's shoving the top. This is not the case, but if he's shoving the top 5%, premiums only. We need 28. We have 29%. We need 39. That's because we're looking at 7.7 to call to win 12,000. Let's say he's shoving top 10%. We have 31, still not enough. Let's say he's shoving top 20%. We still don't have a break-even call. So unless our opponent is reshoving a range this wide, all the purple hands, then the correct play is going to be to fold. So we see that that's fold. And you can tinker around with that. You know, you can change it to Queen 10 suited. You can change it to Queen Jack, King 10 to see where like that threshold is where it goes from being a fold to a call. And I I like that Mario can fold king queen, facing another position open. It's good discipline. Mario shows a lot of discipline in this tournament, and that's a great skill. Here I like an overcall. It's funny that I said squeeze with the ace-9, but overcall with the 5-4 suited. The raises come from the same position. I mean, I just rather have the high cards. And here we'll probably just check, evaluate on that turn. Probably just bet out because we have good equity. Obviously in this spot, once this happens, we check call. But betting the turn allows us to take it down on some rivers. It also allows us to just have control, and I don't think we're getting raised too much after the flop gets checked through. So I prefer a lead there. And on that river, check, call, or lead. Well, King Jack got there. Queen X isn't betting. But Ace Queen's definitely betting, especially three-way. If it goes check, check, Josh might take a stab. Also, like, although we did make a flush, we don't necessarily have the best flush. Josh could have, I guess, Jack 10, 10, 9, King Jack, that's it. So I guess check call's probably, wow. These spots are so tough. Like, do you check call or do you lead? Mario opts to lead because Ace Queen's not going to fold. Maybe Ace Jack makes a hero call. And if we lead out and we get shoved on, then we can fold. So we're not playing the guessing game, and we're also setting the price. So good merits to this play. They both call? What in the fuck? They like both have Ace Queen. King Jack and Ace Queen. So if we check, coming at me, bro probably bets. Josh calls, we overcall. It's the same thing. That's a really, really interesting spot. Because a queen's folding if we bet. But maybe an ace checks back if someone just has a gutter. It's interesting. It's a really interesting spot. Anyway, nice hand. Big stack. We got chips again. And actually, I think I'm going to leave it on that hand. Because that one's a really interesting one to think about. What would you do on this river and why? We saw that Mario opted to bet half pot, and he got called in both spots. But what do you think is the best play and why? Clearly, they're going to be close. Betting versus checking on this particular river are probably going to be fairly similar in value, but there's always going to be one that's a little bit more valuable. And it's important to think about why each one's good. Why is checking a good option? And why is betting a good option? Don't worry about, like, you know, which one's clearly better. Just get in the process of thinking about why each one is good and why each one has its merits. And that's what I'm going to leave you guys with for this one. Mario winning a big pot and sitting on 57. Oh no. 58K? It's got a lot of chips. And you see, like, sure, we folded the big flush draw, but we still end up like winning a big pot. And it's important to not dwell on the things that happened in the past in the tournament. Then you just get tilted. He's like, oh man, like, I would have hit a flush. I could have had a ton of chips. Like, nah, just move on to the next hand and keep trying to make the best decisions that you can make. You can't be results oriented. Unless you win the whole tournament, then like, it's cool, sure. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified when the next part is released. And if you have any hand histories of you winning a multi-table tournament that you want reviewed, please send it on over to evan@grips.com with very specific title telling me what the tournament was, you know, what the buy-in was, and how much you won. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be interested in doing that, so for the sake of me not getting overwhelmed with too many requests, the requirements will be a minimum of 200 entrants and a minimum first place prize of $5,000. If you chopped it and won at least 5K, that's fine too. I just know that I want to see people winning big money, and most of the viewers probably want to see people winning big money as well. That's what's exciting, you know, that's what we play the game for, the thrill of the big score. And as always, Make sure you guys get talking in the comments so that you can get the maximum learning experience from watching this video. Remember, passive observation is a great starting point. It's easy, it feels safe, you're not putting yourself out there, you're not risking anything, but asking questions and getting involved in constructive discussion is where the real learning happens. Now, we don't just want to talk about how our hero, could have made the nut flush and like, oh man, so sick that he folded and it came. Talk about why each one's good either way. Try to notice the little things that really made a difference in helping our hero achieve victory. And that is going to do it for me. This has been Evan for grips.com. You guys have the knowledge, and now it's your turn. Go out there and get stacking.